New zone, inferno difficulty, stances, legendary gems. This is odd. I don't see the nerf to resonance on here, but when I play the game, there's certainly one. So what are we talking about today? Well, people are pissed, and let's just get into it as fast as possible. I have to go through and show you some demonstrations, so I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can. 297,000 life, roughly, 22,000 damage, and I will get more precise with these damage when I show you the calculator. But for now, I want you to take a look at those stats. I'm going to enter into the right practice, essentially a battleground, and we're going to notice immediately when we open that character screen again, well, those values are different. In fact, they're pretty dramatically reduced. So take a look at my total life again, and my damage, 13,944. Okay, 13,944. I'm going to remove a tourmaline. This tourmaline has 292. So if I remove this, I should have 13,652 damage when I enter back in. So the final three digits will be 652. And that is the number we will see if the tourmaline is unaffected by this change, meaning that this new change and the nerf to the value is only affecting our resonance, right? Or possibly other factors. But when I go in, it does not go to 652. In fact, it's only partially reduced, similar to what we see with the resonance, basically. So this is a huge loophole, okay? And why does this matter? Because I'm getting a ton of people asking if they can refund over this. Have they nerfed my resonance? Well, unfortunately, they were pretty sneaky, pretty shady, and honestly, this is just pretty crappy behavior because this is clearly intentional, okay? They're putting a nerf to the damage and life values that you have as a total rather than applying it directly to the resonance so that you can't go and say, hey, my resonance was nerfed. Well, no, it wasn't. They just tuned things, okay? They tuned the battleground to make these stats adjusted. Now, I'm going to equip that gem back on just for consistency here. And the last thing I'm going to do here is go ahead and actually remove several of my gems. Now, I'm going to just do 3 gems. And this is going to roughly reduce my resonance by half, close enough, and we will get more precise, like I said, with the numbers. So at this point, you can see the values here. I'll go back in another time. And we'll now look at the values again. And it may be a little difficult to see here, but I'll zone out again just so that I don't have the battleground to deal with here. And we'll go ahead and pull up a calculator with the numbers I've put in. Now, these are a little bit out of order just from the way in which I plugged them in, but I'll walk you through it. The equation is essentially your original life or damage multiplied by X, which we're trying to find, is equal to the new life or damage value. So when we go through and solve for this value of X, we're going to take our original life or damage and divide it from both sides, giving us essentially the new value divided by the old value equal to X. Now, X is going to be what we have remaining. So we then need to subtract that number from 100 to find the percentage that has been lost from our character. Starting here at the bottom, these are the original damage values. So this is the new damage value divided by the original damage value, and you'll see that we have 62 or 0.62. So we're going to take this from 100, meaning we have lost 38% of our damage in the original situation. 38%, okay? When I remove the tourmaline, what we see is we don't have a matching number. Very interesting, right? So we actually have 37.9, meaning the lower our damage is, the less we lose. So what this is essentially doing is taking everybody and sandwiching them or compacting them or squishing them, whichever term you would like to use. It's taking all of the players and mashing them together and making the discrepancy or difference between them smaller by removing more effect from the higher or stronger players and less of the effect from the lower players, but it's still affecting everybody. Now, we have the health total, and this is the original value, and you can see that we've lost 33.6% here, okay? So I do have a PvP tower for our clan. That's most likely skewing the numbers. I don't know where that works into the equation yet. I would need a lot more info to kind of work through that. However, just be aware that you may find a different value. If you're going through and testing your own numbers, you may get a different percentage if you do or don't have a PvP tower. Now, when we look at the numbers that we have when we remove our resonance and so forth, now we're actually again losing less life than we did originally. So it's a noticeable difference. In this case, about 5%. Okay, so a 5% difference from having lower resonance, in this case 3,500 resonance compared to 7,000. And for the damage value, well, it's almost about 4%. So dramatic differences depending where you are in the resonance. And this is going to be, amplified by the higher resonance totals that some players are going to have. Okay, I'm still not quite 800. I'm going to hit that today, barring any major issues. So if you have players that are 9,000 or 10,000 resonance, numbers that are now attainable, they're going to be losing even more. So this is absolutely massive, especially because of the way that they went about this. There's no mention of this in the patch notes. In fact, what we have in the patch notes are, hey, look at these new legendary gems. Hey, look, you get 2 new gem slots to socket things, and maybe you should spend. Maybe you should buy crests. Look, we're making changes to the crest in general, in which you can use things like banners to take advantage of which gems you want, but no mention that you were not going to continue to receive the full value that you had been, or that other players were receiving prior to the update. Incredibly shady stuff. I have nothing but negative things to say about this. So next topic, and this will be a lot shorter. This has to do with the badge change. Okay, what were some of the major issues people had with badges? Well, on the Immortal side, it was that only one player could attain the 12% badge, and a lot of people don't even want to go Immortal. They would leave their clan and stay Shadow just so that they could keep getting that 12% badge. Well, we know that this has a negative effect on clans in general. So what were a lot of people asking for? Everybody was saying, let's remove the 12% badge. Why don't leaders get the same badge as other players? Let's just make it all 8%, or make it so that just officers, so that at least officers don't have to leave because my clan gets split up all the time. Whatever the case may be, nobody that I'm aware of said, hey, let's just make the 12% badge even more exclusive, because that's what we got with this update, right? Now, only the leader of a clan, and you have to be a clan in the top 10, can get that 12% badge. You know who's happy with this? Leaders of top 10 clans, because they now have an even bigger advantage over everybody else, because it's just not attainable for other players anymore. You know who really liked that 12% badge? Players who enjoyed PvP but weren't super high resonance. They would leave their clan, get that badge, and it closed the gap a little bit on players, at least those that would go Immortal and not get that 12% badge and so forth. So there's a lot of frustration over this as well, especially because it just seems like a change got put in that nobody was asking for. Now, I get the other side of it as well, to be honest. This idea is most likely implemented because they saw it as a really good way to cause clans to have some conflict and get that constellation of power, or accumulation of power that occurs in certain clans, and to start trying to spread it out. Okay, everybody kind of congregates and moves into, say, whale clans or whatever it may be, but a lot of the power is all in one spot or several spots, as opposed to being really spread out. And by making this change to the badge, this may cause clans to split and have different leaders or individuals in kind of a leader role split up and try to get multiple clans into the top 10. Now, you may see the same clan, or you may see people just split entirely, but by doing that, there's going to be some kind of competition, and it will be maybe less dominant, and then you'll have to make a choice of who you bring over to the other side. However, keep in mind, one thing that I feel is overlooked is that if a clan splits and then fills up its ranks, gets into the top 10 with both clans, chooses to go Immortal, well, they can just take those 2 clans and take the strongest 100 players and put them all back in one clan, because there's only one 12% badge for that Immortal again, or the actual Immortal, and the rest of them are only going to get 8%. So you can still bring all of that power over, as well as additional allies. So I think that might kind of be an oversight. And again, I just feel like there's more negative to this change than positive, but we'll see how all this plays out. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch. Have a great day, and there will certainly be a lot more coverage in regards to this update over the next few, most likely, weeks. Enjoy.